Well, hello and welcome to the African News on Voice of the People TV. I am David Edwin. We begin the news in Uganda, where in a significant move, the Ugandan cabinet has reconsidered and resolved to support the National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024, paving the way for its passage into law without the initially proposed three-year transition period. This bill introduced by Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fishery, Frank Tumwenbaze, aims to dissolve the Ugandan Coffee Development Authority and transfer its functions to the ministry responsible for agriculture. The policy behind the bill is to give effect to the government's policy for rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure adopted by the cabinet in 2021. This change aligns with the government's push to streamline its agencies and improve efficiency. According to Tumwenbaze, the National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024 is a crucial step towards reforming Uganda's coffee sector. The bill's passage is expected to have a positive impact on Uganda's coffee industry, including increased coffee production and exports, farmer empowerment, and increased local processing. With the cabinet's support, the bill is now one step closer to becoming law, paving the way for a more efficient and effective coffee sector in Uganda. Meanwhile, the Nigerian government and the economic community of West African states, alongside Morocco and Mauritania, have expressed their commitment to push forward in the development of the African Atlantic gas pipeline project. The countries made the disclosure at the Ecowas interministerial meeting of the Nigerian-Morocco gas pipeline project held in Abuja. The meeting was attended by Ecowas ministers of hydrocarbons and energy, with the participation of Morocco and Mauritania. The project, which would see the nations collaborate with other partners to advance the initiative. The initiative aims to connect at least 13 nations and foster economic growth throughout the region. The group chief executive officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, underscored the importance of the decision to be made at the meeting, stressing that it will shape the future of the African Atlantic gas project. On his part, the Nigerian Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekpo, highlighted the transformative potential of the project. He explained that the participating countries, I beg your pardon, were at a critical juncture where the draft agreements hold the power to reshape the energy landscape, strengthen economies, and uplift people. In her address, Morocco's Minister of Energy, Transition and Sustainable Development, Leila Benali, expressed optimism about the project's potential to open new markets and create employment. Moving on, in Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe's government has banned police officers from using mobile phones while working. The ban takes immediate effect. The ban was announced through a memo ordering police officers to abandon their private communication gadgets while on duty. The memo directed all officers to surrender their cell phones to their supervisors once they get to their stations and only use them during their break time. No reason was cited for the ban, but it is widely believed that the move could be part of efforts to curb police corruption. The government's decision comes a few days after two traffic enforcement officers were arrested in the capital, Harare, following a viral social media video which exposed them taking bribes from public transport vehicles. Police spokesperson Paul Inyathe described the two detained officers as bad apples who do not deserve to be serving in the police service. The new mobile policy now seeks to reinforce what appears to have been a previous order addressed to all stations last months. And then French-Algerian writer Kamel Daoud yesterday won France's top literary prize, the Concord, for a novel centered on Algerian civil war between the government and Islamic extremists in the 1990s, organizers have said. The jury needed just one round of voting to award the coveted prize to Algerian-based Daoud for his novel Horace, about what has become known as Algeria's Black Decade. Daoud's novel has never been published in Algeria, and his publisher, Gallimard, was banned from the Algiers International Book Fair. Daoud was already known internationally for his 2013 debut novel, The Mesalt Investigation, a retelling of Albert Camus' The Stranger from the Opposite Angle, for which he won the first novel category of the Goncourt Prize. The writer, who has also worked as a journalist and columnist, has stirred controversy with his analysis of society in Algeria and elsewhere in the Arab world. In 2016, following a mass sexual assault on women by Arab migrants in Cologne, Germany, he wrote an op prize published in the New York Times called The Sexual Misery of the Arab World. The prestigious Goncourt Prize usually sparks book sales in the hundreds of thousands for the winning author. At least 25 persons, including women and children, have died after traffickers deliberately capsized their boats off the Indian Ocean nation of Comoros, according to the International Organization of Migration. In a statement on Monday, IOM said the boat sank between the Comoros Island and of Anjouan or Ndouani and the French island of Mayotte on the often used migration route on which thousands of people have lost their lives in recent decades. Some of the 5 survivors who were rescued by fishermen said the boat had carried about 30 people of different nationalities, including 7 women and at least 6 young children. Anjouan, one of the 3 islands that make up the impoverished nation of Comoros, lies about 70 kilometers, that's about 45 meters, northwest of Mayotte, which became a department of France in 2011. Almost half of the Comoros, 900,000 inhabitants, live between the poverty line, and many have no access to health care. Moving on, the report has revealed that Algerian boxer Imani K has come under fire during the Paris Olympics for boxing in the women's division and winning gold. Has a disorder of sex development only found in biological men. Khalif, who had previously failed gender eligibility testing at a different international competition, is reported to have XY chromosomes and has a testosterone level of that typically seen in males. The report was drafted in June 2023 through a collaboration between the Paris Cremin Bicêtre Hospital and the Alters Mohammed Lamine Bebagan Hospital. It was drafted by endocrinologist experts Sumaya Fedala and Jackie Young, and revealed that Khalif has a 5-alpha reductase deficiency. This deficiency in sex development is only seen in biological males, and according to the National Library of Medicines, those with this deficiency do not produce enough of a hormone that has a critical role in male sexual development. Those diagnosed with the conditions are often incorrectly noted at birth to be female due to deformed external genitals. In puberty, the disorder becomes apparent as adolescence begins to experience signs of masculine, like muscles, and hair growth, and the absence of breast tissue development or menstruation reduced reported. A business delegation from the Libyan British Business Council has arrived in Benghazi for a 3-day tour aimed at enhancing trade relations and supporting Libya's economic development. Led by the chairman of the LBBC, Peter Millet, the delegation comprises British companies from vital sectors such as energy, healthcare, education, infrastructure, and banking. This visit marks the Council's second trip to Benghazi and its fourth to Libya within 2 years, underscoring the UK's commitment to fostering strong ties with Libya's private sector. Throughout their stay, the delegation will participate in meetings with key Libyan institutions, private sector leaders, and government organizations. Millet expressed enthusiasm for building constructive relationships with Libyan partners to aid in the country's reconstruction efforts and deliver benefits to the Libyan people. With the support of Benghazi's business community, the UK delegation aims to fortify trade links and continue to Libya's ongoing economic resurgence. And to some politics, presidential candidates of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has urged Ghanaians to work tirelessly towards creating a just society where every citizen feels secured and valued. Addressing the nation, Mahama expressed the importance of a proactive approach to peace, stating that true peace cannot exist without justice. He expressed concerns over recent tensions in the country, particularly referencing the tragedies in Baku that have resulted in loss of lives and shattered families. Mahama announced the suspension of his campaign to join various religious leaders, including representatives from the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, the Christian Council of Ghana, the Office of the National Chief Imam, and the Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference at the launch of a national peace campaign in Accra. He highlighted that peace is not merely the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice, fairness, and mutual respect. The NDC leader reaffirmed his party's commitment to dialogue and justice for all, pledging to be the voice of the voiceless and to support every Ghanaian dedicated to building a peaceful rooted in justice. Well, joining us now to make sense of these stories and more is Barrister Darlington Agumo, Voice of the People TV's in-house political analyst and, of course, a lawyer by profession. Barrister, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, David. How are you?
Fine, very well, thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm okay.
All right, let's get to it almost immediately. I want to start off with this Ugandan story where, interestingly, it's best we start from Zimbabwe, where Zimbabwe have banned police officers from using mobile phones on duty. Do you think this is a very good call, owing to the fact that, yes, a video circulated in Zimbabwe where police were seen collecting bribe, from individuals in traffic, public traffic vehicles. Do you see this as a wake-up call and, of course, an act of good governance, that police should not go to their post with their mobile phones?
No, that is not the way to go.
Why do you say so?
In this age of technology, I mean, people are talking of body cam and all that.
Yeah.
How do you now prove a point if there is any infraction? The police officer, is he the one videoing himself while collecting the bribe or the public? How can I don't know how some people think. Oh, seriously, it was the public that videoed the man,
yes,
not the police officer. I mean, the police officer couldn't have videoed himself collecting bribe. It's the public. So why would you not say because of that they can no longer go about it? Do you know that there could be emergency? The police officer could be in danger somewhere, and only a phone call could save him. I mean,
so you mean the traditional walkie-talkie that they use would not even serve enough for them when it comes to that level of emergency?
There is a limit to walkie-talkie and then video. The man would want to call his family. There are so many things the phone can do that walkie-talkie cannot do.
So obviously, this is not even a good call.
It's not serious. It's not seriously. The policeman is a human being now. He has a family need. So his wife or his children would want to reach him in terms of trouble and all that. So how do they do that?
Even when he's on duty?
Yes. Why not? When you're on duty.
Yes.
When you're on duty and there's emergency at home, they can call you.
Sure.
Then you can now seek for help from your superior and all that to go and arrest the emergency. Can you say because you're on duty, therefore, you cut off from your family? Is that what you call duty? No. That's not the best way to go, please. If they want to check corruption among the police personnel in Zimbabwe, that is not the way to go. Let them even have a body cam, so that thing will record every activity whenever they are on their beats.
But Barrister, there's been this conversation surrounding the fact that when you have a body cam on as a police officer, you also would have a time at which that body cam would work because you possibly want to carry out some very hideous act. Now, in that space, if I come back, for instance, if the police officer comes back to say, this thing did not work at this time, don't you think it's some level of injustice to the fact that this body cam was provided for them to, be checkmates?
No, if you have misused the body cam,
yes,
it's a technology. It will show. There are those who are very good in reading even what you try to wipe out. There is always the image at the back end. There are people who are very good in reading those things now. So they will tell you the infractions you have committed, trying to manhandle that object. So it's not every body cam that you can manipulate and get away with. No, it's not. It's programmed. It's like a CCTV. You can't just do anything there. Somebody must find out what happened at the back end. Remember, you are being monitored at the control room or something.
Yeah.
So that's where you send the signal. So every minute somebody will be watching. So whenever the thing goes off, the question is, what happened here? Why did this thing go off here? What were you trying to do here? So you can't do that.
But in this situation now, Barrister, the Zimbabwean authorities are not even considering a body cam to even make the situation better, but rather say a total stop of mobile phones.
No.
So supposing it was happening in Nigeria with the Nigerian police force, would you say that such move is still not needed when in a time and age like this?
It is the same backward thinking that is prevalent in Africa. We are talking of 21st century, and you are going back to the Middle Age. Crime now is as instantaneous as the lightning. Within a second, something can happen.
Right.
How do you capture it? How? With your mobile phone, you can do that. Your walkie-talkie may not do that for you. So what are you now saying? All these things are a archaic way of doing things.
Well, again, it's quite an interesting conversation here because I saw sometime in Lagos, Nigeria, where a last mile official was using, I think, his phone to, record a particular vehicle that, skidded past the traffic light.
Of course.
Now, if that is a way to go, which is, of course, technology, one would wonder what the Zimbabwean authorities are thinking. They have
not told us what they are trying to prevent. That's not the way to go. There must be a reason, but they are not telling us. I don't know the situation over there. I don't know what warranted that. But if it is to prevent bribe, then they have even aggravated bribe.
How do you mean, Barrister?
Yes, because without a mobile phone, they can go haywire. Yes, they can go haywire. So, you want to prevent them from collecting bribe. Meanwhile, they are not the ones that are recording this. It's the public. If they say police should not use a mobile phone because they are collecting bribe, that means they will even stop the public from going about with their mobile phone so that they will not record the police. Eh?
Oh,
Is that not very funny?
Oh, well.
That's why I'm telling you that they have not told us the real reason.
That looks like a futuristic
I'm telling you. So, yes, they are not told us the real reason. If that's the reason, then you can see that there is no wisdom in it. There's no wisdom at all. No wisdom.
All right, let's get to another conversation. And, of course, at this point, we'll be going straight to Uganda, where, interestingly, the bill, supporting the National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024 is ongoing. Now, this bill particularly is to dissolve the Ugandan Coffee Development Authority and transfer its functions to the ministry responsible for agriculture, like what we have in Nigeria, the Agricultural Ministry, the Ministry of Agriculture. Now, this kind of bill, do you think is going to maybe pose some level of development going further for a coffee-rich country like Uganda?
You see, whenever you have a star product in your country, you need to guard it with everything you have because that is your cash cow.
Okay.
You can even create a ministry for it, knowing fully well that this particular product, we are the champion when it comes to the production. So you can do whatever you can to protect it so that the maximum revenue will come to the government. If Uganda knows that the coffee is our major export earner, and they have created a ministry for it so that due diligence will be carried out in the production, extraction, manufacturing, and export of it in order to earn foreign exchange.
Yes.
Why not? We have a Ministry of Petroleum here. It's a special ministry. We didn't put it in technology or in commerce. It's a separate ministry. All because we know what we are getting from that particular industry.
Right.
So every other country could do the same thing. As long as that particular product is your cash cow.
Okay, now, Barrister, what brought about, for me, this conversation is, just like you mentioned, it seemed to be a good development that this Ugandan government is trying to do here. But one would want to bring it back to Nigeria and ask a very simple question. There is the Ministry of Agriculture, like I did mention earlier, and then we're having the Livestock Ministry. Isn't that supposed to be under the Ministry of Agriculture?
You can be sure that in future, somebody will come and disband that Livestock Ministry. Whatever Tinubu is doing...
For what reason, Barrister? Let me find out from you.
Yes, well, whatever Tinubu is doing with that ministry, it will not fly because you are trying to please a particular group of people and their business. And that is not good. In a country like Nigeria, where you have so many businesses.
And then coming from a man that said he wanted to cut down on governance. Because when you have a ministry, you definitely will be having ministers, convoys, cars, offices, and all of that.
I just told you that thing will not fly. It's just there on paper. The implementation cannot fly.
But there is a minister there.
I said it is just on paper. Let's see. Because if you're a minister and you don't have your office or your influence all over the country, then you're a minister of a particular region. That's the truth. Because this is your livestock. Are you going to create what is it called? A separate office for it in the southeast? Where is the car? Where is the business that you're going to do there? No, tell me. There are things you look at. You now ask yourself, what is the wisdom in this thing? That was exactly how Jubril Aminu created nomadic education when he was the Minister of Education under Babangida.
Yeah.
What happened to that? What happened to it? Please, can you mention one result that came out of that? So there are things somebody will just do. It is for political reason. When the person leaves office, that particular idea will die.
One begs to wonder again, what is the position of the National Assembly when all of these kind of bills are being presented to it for passage?
I have told you, you don't have a National Assembly. What those people do, they are extension of the executive. I've told you. and the evidence are there. If you have a National Assembly, will they allow this type of thing to be going on? The answer is no. A National Assembly that meant well for Nigeria will not even allow the country to have gotten to this level now, because they saw it.
Okay.
When Tinubu was presenting all manner of bill, all manner of policies, the National Assembly just kept mute, as if they didn't see or know what was going on. So we don't have a national. When we have a National Assembly, they will checkmate him.
All right. Now, Barrister, at this point, we're going to just go again to ECOWAS because, interestingly, Nigeria, Morocco, and, of course, ECOWAS are driving towards a $26 billion gas pipeline initiative. Now, Nigeria has been flaring gas in the past couple of months, and some will want to say, at what expense do we consistently continue to waste our gas rather than harness it and, of course, put it to good use in terms of giving the country extensive power generation? But at this point, this new initiative and, of course, more like an agreement between Nigeria, Morocco, and, of course, some other countries, do you think this would, maybe give us some light at the end of the tunnel, this initiative?
David, most of the mineral resources God blessed us with, we have never made use of it. Rather, it became a cost to us. We have never harnessed them. Rather, it turned out to be a cost and a source of worry for all of us. This gas will not be different. I'm telling you. By the time you now see the nitty-gritty of this arrangement, somebody somewhere have already made his own plan on how to hijack the resources.
Well, interestingly, this looks like...
Not like oil.
This looks like you seem to have some level of trust deficit for this government based on antecedents.
Well, is it not obvious? Are you blaming me? When you are bitten by a snake, when you see the head of a lizard, will you stay be waiting? Won't you take off? That this thing resembles that snake that bit me yesterday. So that is just the thing. If you have made use of the oil and other, it will say, okay, yeah, something good is coming. So I don't know what they are going to benefit from this one now that we could not benefit from oil. I don't know.
But interestingly, Barrister, this seems to be an agreement signed between Nigeria, Morocco, and, of course, Mauritania. And the target is between $26 billion for, trying to manage how much we flare gas and make some money off it. In the past few months, we've not seen NNPC declare anything. Going further in the near future, with this kind of agreement, do you think something good might come out of it?
Nothing will come out of it, knowing Nigeria for who she is. David, you are a member of OPEC. Have you ever met your quota, OPEC quota? Have you ever met your OPEC quota? It is only in Nigeria that an oil giant like an NPC cannot remit any revenue. Rather, they are asking the government to borrow them money to finance their activities. When you hear these things, what goes on in your mind? We have never made use of what God gave us. That is why I keep wondering.
Barrister, one goes to wonder, what would be the reason why NNPC can boldly ask the government to borrow her money?
Because NNPC know that the government will answer them. Because if you have a government that is very focused, forward-looking, a government that needs urgent development, they would have probed NNPC like 10 years ago to know what is going on there. You see a man who have performed below par, a man who have failed in all fronts, you still retain him as the managing director. So what does that tell you? It is only in Nigeria that you reward failure.
You're talking about who now, Barrister?
Kiari.
The group GMD of NNPC. Yeah?
Exactly. It's only in Nigeria that you reward failure. It's only in Nigeria that a small company like Owando will swallow an NNPC and nobody is telling you anything. So when you see all these things, what does that tell you? So it's not a question of signing an agreement with 200 countries. Those countries will take advantage of the agreement to develop themselves. Nigeria, your own will enter into June 12th. There will be committee upon committee to know whether the agreement was properly signed, to know what happened. How many, up to today, do you know how many liters of crude oil you are exporting? Up to today, do you know? David, do you know? Have somebody come out to tell you, this is how much crude oil that leaves this country every day? Or this is how much liters of fuel that you are using every day? Have anybody told you?
Well, unfortunately, the NNPCL is not giving us any figures.
So, I mean, so it's the same pattern. After all of them are coming from under the ground. So they will use the same way they manage NNPC. That's how they manage this gas project.
Barrister, one sentence before we leave this NNPC discussion. Why is NNPCL, even though presently they are a limited liability company, why is nobody in government practically checkmating them?
Because the government is in bed with NNPCL. The two of them are in bed together.
All right.
So they know what they are doing. Remember.
Yes.
Only two government ministries are signing the whatever with NNPCL. Ministry of Finance and that of Economic Development. They are the two ministries. And your president is the Minister of Petroleum. So if they are not doing well, is he not the first person to raise alarm? But he has accepted what is going on. That means he is in cahoots with what NNPC is doing.
Interesting.
So that's it.
Barrister, let's move straight to Comoros, where at least 25 persons, including women and children, have died after boats capsized off the Indian Ocean nation of Comoros. And of course, this is according to International Organization for Migration. Now, the reason why some persons who were survivors said that boat capsized was the fact that the impoverished nation of Comoros seemed to have a lot of people wanting to leave the country to Europe. Isn't this something of concern that the government of Comoros is supposed to look at? I mean, 30 persons in one boat mishap.
30 persons.
Yes.
How many is the population of Comoros Island?
Interestingly, there are about 900,000 inhabitants.
Please, David, you that is over 200 million people, how many of your own youth have died in the same thing, trying to cross through Libya? Or are you not aware that such a thing happened? As we are talking now, some people are trying to maneuver their way through Libya into Spain and Italy. And 50% of the time, or even 80% that they don't make it. And nobody hears anything. That's the truth. Nobody hears anything. Because most times, these people, they lose their identity for whatever reason. They wouldn't want to be known where they are coming from and all that until they get to where they are going. So most times, when these people die, you don't even have any identification tag. Because they are nobody. They have no identity. That's the fact. So this is not the first time it's happening. Comoros Island is just, that's why I asked you the population. 900,000. They're not even up to 1 million people. So what is the...
It's quite interesting that you mentioned the Nigeria-Libya situation. Of course, you know, just a couple of days ago, the Libyan government has said the Nigerian workers are the ones that will pay the tax. And of course, the back and forth between Nigeria and Libya. What do you make of that statement, basically?
The Nigerian government is denying it, but the fact is there because we heard what our brothers and sisters are saying from there. We heard what they are saying. You know, the government will deny just to save their face. You know, is it not a shame that a war-torn country is where your youth prefer to go to than your own country? Is it not a shame? I mean, look at it yourself.
Well, some quarters have said that that war-torn country is about the closest when you want to migrate to Europe.
Really? Okay, must you migrate in the first place? Must you migrate? Those people who are going to their country, was it not a leader that built it? A leader built it there. And I can bet my last kobo. Those countries don't have half of the mineral resources we have here. What God has blessed us with. They don't have half of it. But these things are in somebody's pockets. David, some people are richer than Nigeria as I talk to you today. Some people are rich. That is the money they would have used to better your life and my life. Better the infrastructure, our schools, our hospitals, you know, everything that will make life meaningful.
Barrister, you just
They pocket the money. They put it in their
you
pocket.
just struck me with a sentence. Some people are richer than Nigeria.
Yes.
How possible is that?
Oh, listen very well. A one small company called Owando. The papers are telling you, yesterday paper, I discussed it in my program. Yesterday paper is telling you that that company has made over 29 trillion naira. And they made a profit of 60 billion.
Would that be as a result of the total buy of the downstream upstream sector?
I don't know. Even if they are the only oil company in Nigeria, how come? How did they? You don't know that some people can be fronting for you through proxy. You can be funneling your fund. You can be channeling your fund through a company. Yes, now it's an oil company. Are you going to say that they are not making money? Meanwhile, the money is coming from somewhere. Right. They all use the company as a conduit pipe. So when you see humongous profit, you'll be asking yourself, this company, are they the only company in Nigeria?
Well, thank you so very much, Barrister Darlington Agumo. Always an interesting time having you on the analysis segment of the news. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, David.
We've been talking with Barrister Darlington Agumo, Voice of the People TV's in-house political analyst, and of course, a barrister by law. The African news will continue shortly, just after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The International Trade and Research Center has announced Ethiopian Airlines and Rwandan Air as official travel partners for the upcoming African Intellectual Property Summit, scheduled for November the 28th to the 30th, 2024 in Kigali, Rwanda. This partnership aims to facilitate travels for delegates with exclusive flights discounts of 12% and 15% for Ethiopian Airlines and Rwandan Air respectively, making travel more accessible from various destinations. As the summit approaches, the ITRC invites Rwandan delegates, IP practitioners, and stakeholders from across Africa and beyond to register for the vital event. With the theme, Intellectual Property Rights, the catalyst for sustainable development goals in Africa, the summit will explore the intersection of IPRs and sustainable development while fostering collaboration and innovation within African growing IP landscape. Meanwhile, Ethiopia's economic and microeconomic reforms have been reorganized and recognized as instrumental in creating a supportive environment for small and medium enterprise, as reported by the Ethiopian Intellectual Property Authority, in partnership with the World Intellectual Property Organization and the Japan Patent Office. EIPA recently hosted a national workshop aimed at enhancing SMEs' understanding of innovation management and the critical role of intellectual property. EIPA Director General Waldo Yimsel noted that while SMEs currently contribute modestly to Ethiopia's GDP, these reforms open up significant opportunities for their development, urging them to focus on building intangible assets like intellectual property. WIPO's Loretta Asedu emphasized the transformative potential of IP rights in nurturing SMEs, stating that they provide essential facility market access. As countries like Japan showcase successful innovation ecosystem driven by strong SME sectors, Ethiopia aims to harness similar strategies to bolster its own economic growth through innovation and creativity. You're still watching the African News on Voice of the People TV. More stories in business and sports after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now to some business stories. The International Monetary Fund has increased Ethiopia's net international reserve targets to address upcoming foreign currency payments. The adjustment follows Ethiopia's successful $3.4 billion four-year IMF financing agreement in July, secured after floating its birr currency and initiating other reforms. The IMF's report noted the heightened risk facing Ethiopia and justified the increased target to manage these challenges. As of mid-August, Ethiopia's net reserve reached $1.3 billion, surpassing the $613 million target, partly due to lower central bank foreign currencies auctions and improved gold exports. The IMF also raised Ethiopia's end of June 2025 reserves target by $300 million to $400 million, intending to buffer fuel import credits issued before the currency float. The recent reforms have led to a more aligned official and black market exchange rate, but unmet dollar demands persist as market activities lag. Ethiopia, is in talks to restructure its debt, aiming to reach a bilateral creditors agreement by year-end and a Eurobond arrangement soon after. Bondholders recently rejected an 18% reduction in principal, insisting Ethiopia's issue is liquidity, not solvency. The IMF acknowledged Ethiopia's good faith efforts in these negotiations. Still in business, Redefine, a South African commercial property group, reported a 2.9% decline in distributable income for the year ending August 31st, setting within its forecast due to prolonged high interest rates. Distributable income per share dropped to 50.02 cents from 51.53 cents the previous year. However, Redefine anticipates a stronger 2025, expecting between 50 to 53 cents per share, driven by South Africa's recent interest rate cuts, the first in 4 years. The group's revenue increased by 7.5% to 10.65 billion rand, that's about $607 million, with signs of recovery across key metrics. Though this was partially offset by a 15.1% rise in financial charges to 2.1 billion rand. Chief Operating Officer Leon Koch highlighted potential occupancy improvements in 2025, aided by lower interest rates that could bolster consumer spending. Despite the positive outlook, Redefine declared a reduced dividend of 22.25 cents for the second half compared to 23.48 cents a year ago. While still in business, Ethiopian Airlines, the biggest carrier in Africa, has received the first A350 1,000 passenger plane in Africa. The plane, named Ethiopia, Land of Origins, was delivered to Ethiopian Airlines from the Airbus company in a ceremony held in Toulouse, France. The brand new aircraft is built to arrive in Addis Ababa Bole International Airport today. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, while addressing the parliament last week, disclosed that Ethiopia has already embarked on building a mega airport. The new airport is projected to have the capacity to serve 130 million passengers each year, which is more than 4 times the current capacity of Bole International Airport. And from business, we'll move straight to some sports stories where the University of Ghana's sports director said that Ghana is misplacing priorities by focusing too much attention on football to the neglect of other sports disciplines. He cited examples of countries that have achieved success through balanced sports development, emphasizing the importance of investing in infrastructure, training facilities, and talent identification programs. The director's comments come amid growing calls for reforms in Ghana's sports sector, with many advocating for increased funding and support for lesser known sports. Still talking sports, Kampala Old Boys suffered a devastating loss to their arch rivals, Sadolin, in the Ugandan Rugby League, leaving fans with a sinking feeling. The highest and the highly anticipated match saw KOB's struggle to find their footing, with Sadolin dominating possession and territory throughout. Despite a spirited effort, KOBs were unable to overcome their opponent's relentless pressure. Sadolin's victory marked their first win over KOBs in 3 years, sending shockwaves through the rugby community. The loss drops KOB to third place in the standing, while Sadolin climbs to second. And with that, we've come to the end of the African news right here on Voice of the People TV. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we're at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Thank you so very much for being here. I am David Edwin. Do have a good afternoon.